What is up, everybody? And yes, I'm back again. And listen, as you guys already know, this episode is brought to you by Bison and Donovan. So Bison is race leathers, and they custom fully make them, right? And I tell people all the time, why buy an off the rack suit that for the majority of us does not fit us perfect, right? And that will hinder your body position and your riding style and yada yada yada. So
Yeah.
I don't see why you don't go to bisontrack.com and start your full custom suit tailor made just for you. And cool thing is they got vast colors and varieties. So you choose it all. You choose your layouts where you want your name and all that cool stuff, right? And then you can get the gloves to match and the chest protector and all that cool stuff. You see an undersuit right here hanging up on the back of my wall. But yeah, guys, check it out. Go to bisontrack.com and trust me, you want to join the herd. But anyway, everybody, it's an absolute honor to sit down with my good friend and the absolute legend, Donovan Fourie, back on. What is going on?
Legend. Geez, you're hyping me up here a bit. What is going on is I've got weird lights above me, so it looks like I'm behind bars, So
I was
sorry
gonna
about
say,
that, ladies and
no,
gentlemen.
dude, that's good. I like it. It adds something to it, right? That's
Yeah, this is me. I'm in home prison. I need a cup. I need to go cling, cling, cling and start singing.
Oh man, I love it. I love it. So listen, man, the last time we got together and collabed, um, we made some predictions on what was gonna happen. And since then, there's been some bombshells dropping everywhere. So yeah, we'll just start off with like obviously KTM. KTM dropped the news and everybody was like, what? What do you think about that?
Okay, first of all, let's start with what we did, what we predicted last time. I predicted, and I thought I was pretty spot on. I thought, don't worry, I've got this. I'm usually pretty good at predicting, and I thought, yeah, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. It's only logical. I'm using my Sherlock Holmes power, but of deduction, my clairvoyance of a Jedi mind master. I used all of that, and I got everything completely wrong. Well,
Yeah.
first of all, Ducati, I said they would put Jorge Martin in the works team next to Bagnaia, and they would give Marquez a factory bike wherever he is. I got that completely wrong, didn't I? Yeah, what I didn't sort of think, I sort of had the idea that Marquez would be okay on a factory bike anywhere, and they would want to keep on a Martin. But the way I look at the way I think about it is Martin is kind of doing his best. He's sort of up there on a Ducati. If he goes on to an Aprilia and the Aprilia is not as good as a Ducati, he's in a spot to bother, isn't he? So he's not going to, I don't know if he will be a real title contender on the Aprilia. I hope so, because, it makes for good racing. But then, I mean, when I didn't know that Marquez had put the ultimatum out there, put me on the factory bike or I'm leaving. So, yeah, that was a bit of a shocker. I mean, he played a bit. Yeah, he bluffed properly there. But sorry, I'm like feeling a little bit kind of aged, so I've got this gruff voice going on. So please, everyone, forgive me a little bit. But yeah, so Marquez, I mean, they didn't want to give up the sort of marketing potential of Marquez, and you look at how he's doing on the 23, he's way ahead of everybody else. So either everybody else isn't doing very well, or Marquez is just overriding that thing, or just overperforming, which is what he generally does. So I really hope next year is not going to be boring. It's going to be the Marc Marquez show. We're back to 2014, where it's the Marquez show, winning everything all the time. But then again, everybody said last year when they announced Marquez was moving to Ducati, though, his fans in particular, the word dominance came up all the time. He's going to dominate. He's going to dominate. No one's going to be able to touch him. He's going to be half a lap in the lead. That's how the South African fans speak, by the way. American fans are a bit different, but that's kind of what everybody said. And, it's not happening. It's just, he's doing well, but he's not dominating. So, I don't know how much we can predict that. I mean, how much better is the new bike going to be to the old one? Don't know. We'll have to see. And then, yeah, KTM seems to be doing this whole sort of scorched earth policy. It's just to hell with getting young up-and-comers. They spoke to, I think it was Pit Byro, who sort of said there aren't any real Moto2 candidates. There's no real sort of, well, they've got Pedro Acosta. Do they take one of these Moto2 candidates that sort of looks okay, or do they get riders that are already kind of mature, already seasoned, and ready to go? And the way I look at it is very similar when they hired Jack Miller. They get a whole lot of intel from Ducati, in which case they're getting that from Enea Bastianini. Plus, they're getting Vinales, so all the Aprilia intel. So they're going to get a lot of different input. which is going to be really, 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 really interesting for KTM. It's going to be good for Pedro Costa, good for Binder, good for everyone. So that's going to be good fun.
Yeah, especially Pedro, right? That's gonna be bad news for everybody else. But yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, look, you're absolutely right, Donovan. I had similar thoughts too of what was actually going to happen, and then Mark was like, "I'm absolutely not going," and then Ducati was like, "Boom, we got to sign him," and the whole Maverick Vinales to the KTM, and they had Bastianini, right? Everybody knew he was out of the factory seat. We just really didn't. There was really not a whole lot of news. I can't even talk right now, um, of any speculation of where he might even go. At least that I didn't see. Um, and then yeah, they dropped that bombshell, and I think it's good. I think KTM's going to absolutely benefit from this because they have different riders, different styles, right, coming from different machines. And then Martin, man, it was hard. I got asked that question a lot, right? Marquez or Martin, who you gonna go for? And I said this last time we was on. It's a double-edged sword, whoever you pick. But from a marketing standpoint of view, Marquez all the way. But on the flip side of that coin, he's just one good um, crash away from, and that's it, right? It's over just because of how many he's had with his arms and all that, and his diploma. And but we can say that about all MotoGP or motorcycle racers anyway, because they're all legends. You know what I'm saying? They're all just amazing people. But at the end of the day, I think Ducati did the right thing. And I agree with you. Everybody says it's Marquez going to dominate. That's all we heard. Marquez, that's it. That's it. And I knew he was going to be good, and he is good. Um, I don't really think he's overriding the bike. I think it just took him a while to adjust riding a Ducati coming from the Honda, which he's only been on his whole career, right? And that takes a while. I don't care who you are, just to totally – you can only adapt the bike so much per your riding style coming off of something you've been on for so long, but it's not going to work. You need to actually change yourself to adapt to the strengths of the bike that you're on now, right?
Yeah.
And he's finding that, and he's fast. Now, is it going to be so much better? We don't know. That's the beauty of our sport, right? I don't want to see just a total domination. Nobody does, to be honest with you. We went to close racing. We went to 7 winners out of the first, 7 GP races, 8 or whatever. That's what we want.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it brings excitement, right? It's not boring like F1, right? You're like, okay, Verstappen's done took off, so click the channel, check back in another hour, and yeah.
Yeah, I watched the Monaco race. I don't know if that was before or after our last thing, but there was a MotoGP race, and I think it was after it was after Mugello. They had the Monaco Formula One race, and I sort of thought to myself, okay, Max Verstappen was starting like 6th, and I thought, it might be interesting. Let's see, maybe he'll come through. So let me give it a watch. It'll be fun. And I don't know why I watched the whole stupid thing, all like 15 hours or however bloody long it took. Nothing happened. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. They started, they got it to an order, it stayed that way for the entire race. It was terrible. It was horrendous. It was awful. I'm told Monaco is the worst. Why do they go there? I mean, I know it's all like romantic and mythic and all of that, but it was so dull. Even they interviewed Max Verstappen afterwards, and he just looked like he wanted to fall asleep. It's awful. It's awful. I mean, then you watched. I mean, when we thought the Mugello MotoGP race wasn't the most exciting, but compared to the Formula One, it was a thriller. It was an absolute thriller. Also, the Mugello race, I mean, it wasn't exciting, but it was tense. You had all these riders. They weren't overtaking, but they were there, So for the whole race, you weren't quite sure what was happening. So people like you and me are quite invested. I mean, I don't know about you, but it was tense the whole way through, right up until the very end. You kind of
It
thought,
was.
what's going to happen? What's going to happen? So that's at least good. I mean, in terms of MotoGP, unlike Formula One,
No, I agree, man. Formula One, the big hype about Formula One is they got that series. They nailed it on Netflix, and that brought a shit ton of more viewers into the sport, right? Which is good on them. But yeah, man, it's I didn't even turn it on because Monaco is always a boring race. Like you said, I don't
yeah,
even see why they go there anyway. It's one of those money and all that shit. So yeah. We actually have a question from Dirk Cotes. I don't know why I can't see you up here on the screen, but what's going on, Dirk? He says, isn't Maverick a good on developing a bike? What do you think about that, Donovan? Maverick Vinales
What
on developing a MotoGP bike.
is Maverick Vinales? Well, I will say something about Maverick Vinales. Dirk Kotze, sorry. Hello, Dirk. Incidentally, I'm surprised there are any South Africans watching this right now because right now there's a game. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called rugby. It's this thing South Africans and English and Australians and all that do where they run into it's a bit like American football, but they all just run into each other chasing some weird little oval. It's ridiculous, but everybody's supposedly watching that tonight. So don't know what's wrong with it. First thing I said is how many engines does it have, and no one could tell me. So anyway, so yeah, but Vinales, he's very good at not riding a bike well when it doesn't suit him. If that makes sense. Vinales is one of those hot or cold riders. I mean, if everything's going well, the dude is unstoppable. He will, no one can beat him. The moment something a little bit goes wrong, a little bit off, boom, he falls completely flat. And yeah, KTM has sort of a bit of a, shall we say, a bit of a reputation of not necessarily being the easiest bike to ride. It's got that steel chassis. It's very, very stiff kind of bike. You've got to go brake really hard, really late, turn really hard, get on the gas really hard, that kind of thing. So it's a bike you need to ride pretty hard. So I don't exactly know how well Vinales will go with that. But then again, we all kind of said, well, how's he going to go with the Aprilia? I mean, it's a completely different bike to the Yamaha he was riding before that. And he took him a little while, but he got into it. So yeah, let's see what happens. I think a lot of them have been watching Pedro. And they sort of thought, well, hang on, if Pedro can do that, then maybe this KTM isn't so bad. They used to watch Miller and Binder. But, of course, then there's the question of how much of it is KTM and how much of it is Pedro. And I will admit that Binder hasn't had the greatest season. Things just keep going wrong. He never really seems to quite have a smooth weekend. And he didn't do that well at Mugello, but Mugello's never been a good track for him. You go look at his history at Mugello. He won once there in Moto3 2016, and since then he hasn't won any. He hasn't really performed well there. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. We'll kind of see how it goes. Before he crashed at Catalunya, before he had something wrong, he was fast. I mean, remember in the sprint race he got past Pedro Acosta, then he crashed, just like all the other two leaders in the front. So yeah, let's see what happens. But I think a lot of these guys sort of think to themselves, while this KTM does look good, it can be ridden well. Let's go and give it a try. And I suspect KTM's dishing out quite a bit of cash. So, yeah, maybe the salaries are pretty good. And they are clearly the Tech 3 team gets a lot of support. It is a factory motorcycle they're riding. I mean, it's equivalent of Pramac with Ducati. So you are on a bike that's now very much capable of winning. So I think they've said, well, let's take a shot. I've got a guy, I know him well, Craig Heidemann. He's one of the cleverest people I know. I see he's commented, why are you talking about Formula Sleep, Donovan? Don. I was commenting on Formula One just to remind everybody how bloody awful it is, how much less green the grass is on the other side of the fence. The grass on the other side of the fence is burnt, it's arid, it's poisonous, it's toxic, it's horrible. That's all I'm doing. I'm just reminding people how great MotoGP is. That's all.
Facts. I stand behind my man Donovan on that 100%. That's awesome. But you're right. It's KTM, man. They stepped it up. I was hoping for more out of Brad, but man, the season's still long to go, right? And like you said, we don't know how much of it's Brad and how much it is actual his bike, But then you see Pedro on the gas. Which I heard next year is just good. Their gas, it's not going to be gas. It's going to be Tech 3 again.
Back to KTM.
Yeah.
I thought they might go MV Augusta because KTM has taken over MV Augusta now.
Yeah.
So I mean, they got quite a portfolio. I mean, they got KTM, Gas, Husqvarna, CF Moto, and MV Augusta. That's a lot of different colors to paint the same motorbike.
It's ingenious too, is what it is, right? It really is. Because they're making a lot more money off the same motorcycle, just painting it different colors and calling it something else. The 701, the KTM 690, the gas, whatever, 705, whatever. It's all the same.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I do wonder what they're going to do. Sorry, on the road side of things, I wonder what KTM's going to do with MV Augusta. I mean, they've already got 3 brands, plus, CF Moto build stuff for them. I kind of wonder, what are they going to do? Are they going to go like a completely different route? Or maybe I was thinking, I don't know if you remember, they did those Brabus KTMs, that Brabus Super Duke. Brabus normally does Mercedes and things like that. And they built a really cool KTM Super Duke, and I was thinking maybe they do something like that. So where Husqvarna is generally the kind of step up from KTM, maybe Invergusta will be, Anyway, that's road speculation. Listen, we were talking about boring stuff. Just wondering, in America right now, they've got a tournament called the T20 Cricket. Does anybody even know what that is?
I'm an American and I have no idea what it is.
See, South Africa's a bit different. You guys have basketball, football, and baseball. We have soccer, cricket, and rugby. So, and in India, I mean, cricket's it's probably the third biggest religion they have. It's in fact, the Cricket World Cup is the second most watched sporting tournament after soccer.
Really?
It's huge. It's unbelievably huge. But they got a tournament there, World Championship, World Cup tournament in your country, and like I expected, no one even knows it's happening. You've got 1 billion people in India watching your country right now, and you don't even know it.
Don't even know it. That's a shame, right? That just goes to show how much I guess they don't advertise here in America of the event.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't watch normal TV. Like I don't.
Your team's doing pretty well. I mean, they're not going to win, but they're actually doing pretty well considering no one there even knows what cricket is. I mean, considering the small pool it comes from, you're doing right. Your team's doing rather well. So give them a little clap.
That's it. Let's go USA in cricket. So yeah,
yeah, whatever that is.
Whatever that is, yeah, I have no idea. Yeah, and you know what? We have the whole football thing wrong because soccer is the real football, right? Ours, we do call it football, but it should be like handball or something like that because
yeah. You know what? In South Africa, we call it soccer also, and I'm convinced there are more English-speaking nations, more English-speaking people in the world that call it soccer than football.
Yeah,
because you think about it, America, 350 million people, soccer. South Africa's soccer, Australia's soccer, Japan is soccer, everywhere else it's soccer. It's pretty much just Britain, West Indies, and one or two other small places calls it football. So, hey, majority rules. They could go to hell with their little, it's soccer, damn it, soccer.
There you go. You guys heard it here first. It's soccer.
There we go.
I love it. I love it. Dirk actually has another question. He says, do you think the teams is thinking forward to 2027 by choosing the riders now?
Possibly. I mean, they are signing 2-year contracts, so it's 25, 26. I'm not sure. So most of them are signing until the end of 26. So maybe, I mean, you get yourself in a good stance now. You have your foot in the door with these riders. But then again, I mean, there's a few really good Moto3 riders that'll be up and coming by them and ready to sign. So now I'm not sure if they're doing 27 just yet. I think they're more kind of looking for the next 2 years. Which brings can we start an interesting subject? Our favorite rider, the most entertaining rider in the world to watch, is Toprak Razgatlioglu, who I presume we're pronouncing that completely wrong, but we're just going to go with it. So there are 2 rumors that kind of don't align very well. The first one, that was the original one beforehand, was that BMW is entering MotoGP in 2027, and they're taking Toprak with them, which is exciting. I really hope we get BMW in MotoGP. That'll be excellent. Now the latest rumor is that Toprak wants to ruin his racing career by joining Honda.
That's mind blowing, right? I don't get it. I don't.
Last time we were on the show a few weeks back, I said no. I would have said no. No. There were a bunch of crazy stuff like this being said, and I said no, not a chance. Now I don't know. The world's lost its mind. We're all going crazy. Nothing makes sense anymore. Maybe he's trying to get his foot in the door. A bit like he moved from Yamaha to BMW when everyone said you can't win on BMW. They said that's it. It's your, that's the end of your career. And that didn't happen. I mean, he's doing phenomenal things on that BMW, especially when you look at where the other BMWs are finishing. It's insane. It's the speed he's got on that bike. It is very much like Rossi when he moved from Honda to Yamaha and still won. It really is in that sort of bracket. It's absolutely brilliant. And maybe he's got a bit of confidence now. I can imagine Honda's perhaps dangling a rather large check in front of him to move. We know we've got Sofoglu as his team manager. And I think Sofoglu would like 10% of a very large check at the same time. And maybe he's sort of saying, well, I'm able to kind of ride these bikes like that. The Honda does need to be ridden in a Marquez style, which is very late braking, very hard braking, which that is top rack written all over it. So I don't know. Maybe they are kind of thinking, let's try and get our foot in the door there. I mean, you don't need to win on the Honda. You just need to ride. I mean, like this is the goal of any bike you're on. Finish higher than that motorcycle is supposed to. So the Honda is supposed to right now. It's meant to be at the back of the grid. And if you beat a few Ducatis and a few KTM's and Yamahas on that bike, people are going to notice. They're going to go, hang on, that guy get a few top tens when everybody else is, finishing last. And a few some of the Ducati teams and whatever heavy teams are going to start noticing. You know what I mean? So maybe that's his kind of way of getting his foot in the door in MotoGP. Who knows? How old is Toprak now? Does anyone know? Craig, are you still watching? Comment to the bottom. Tell us how old he is. He knows it off by heart.
Yeah, I want to say I'm probably wrong on this, but I thought he was like 28 or 29,
I
something like
I
that.
also think so, which is a bit. It's
Old,
not the
kind of.
youngest.
Right.
Yeah, it's not something. It's not just a quick. Craig has said, "Don't see Razgat on Honda Trackhouse and." Grassini are hunting for an aggressive go-getter rider. He's right there. See, I told you Craig's clever. He's a clever guy. Which is an interesting thing. I mean, where is the next Aprilia rider? Come on, Aprilia, get Razgat. But the problem there is that Razgat Lioglu is contracted to next year. He is contracted to BMW. So there's going to be a massive buyout clause if he is going to move. If BMW lets him, they might say no, absolutely not. In which case, well, he's not going anywhere. So it is going to require a team with a lot of money, and I don't see Grassini or Aprilia forking over that much. I mean, this is BMW. They're quite a large factory with quite big lawyers, very experienced. So that's going to be tricky. Look, my prediction is he's back in World Superbikes next year, back on the BMW. The year after that, I don't know. However, last time I was here, I got every single prediction wrong. So for all I know, he's going to end up in Moto 2 or Formula 1 or something ridiculous. I don't know.
Oh shit! Could you see Top Rack in Formula One? That'd be hilarious.
I could see him going to Formula 1 and annoyingly winning in his first race, taking out half the field on his way. It'll be a big loss. That guy is so entertaining to watch. Just the way he rides, the way he manhandles that motorcycle. I mean, the race, Masano race was boring as hell. It really was. It was dull. But you just watch Top Rack riding, and he's just entertainment just on his own. I mean, they can the race. Just send Top Rack out on his own, do 27 laps on his own. It's enough. Well, I'll sit there and very happily watch that.
Absolutely, I agree. Top Rack is he's definitely different than everybody else in World Superbikes. Yeah. I mean, you can just see the way he rides. He's always amazed me with his talent for sure.
He's actually got a bit of a Rossi-ness about him when so it's kind of a bit of a two-way. Marquez was the one who used to make the bike dance we're in America now. Used to make the bike dance on the brakes. Rossi was the one who would do the very daring, sort of strange overtaking maneuvers. And he's sort of making the bike dance like Marquez, but he's doing the weird overtaking maneuvers like Rossi did. So it's sort of a bit of best of both worlds. By the way, did you watch that World WCR women circuit racing race?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maria Herrera. My God. Maria Herrera has more balls than us two and anyone else watching this. Good God, that girl. I mean, that last dive bomb maneuver on the last corner on the last lap. And that is a corner you don't dive. I mean, MotoGP riders don't dive bomb on that corner. It's just not the kind of corner you dive bomb. And wow, that was a really, really good race. Sorry, I'm upset about all the red flags. One of them was one of our girls, Jessica Howden. She was doing very well, which is a bit of a pity. And I hope I've forgotten her name now, Maria. I hope she's okay. Apparently she's doing all right. But wow, when the racing got underway, that was really, really good. And now they're saying that the Super Sport 300 is probably going to be canned and they're going to move it to something else. And I'm sort of thinking that after that, the women's racing on the R7s, I think they're going to go somewhere around about there. R7s, Suzuki has that 8R now, that twin 800. Sorry, voice. Aprilia has their 660. So I think they're going to go somewhere there. And I think that's excellent. Let's do that.
No, yeah, 100%. I definitely watched it. I got two of my friends, uh, Lizzie Whitmore and Mallory Dobbs racing that series.
Okay.
Mallory was, I think, near 10th, and she crashed out on the last lap.
Wow.
Yeah, she's okay. Lizzie, I can't remember where she finished, like 17th maybe. But it was super exciting. I'm glad to see it happen.
Mm.
And we needed that. We really do.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that it would. In a way, I could see where, like, if you do have an all women's championship, that it might hinder them moving over to the class with the men. But I don't think it should. I don't think it should hinder them at all. I always love to see men and women race because they're brilliant. To me, when a woman rides real quick, I think she's more natural on a motorcycle, right? Her riding style, the way she naturally sits, just her movements. Where a man, I feel like when you watch us, we force it in a sort of sense. If that
Yeah.
makes sense, right? Oh, we just gotta grab it and
Yeah,
just ride it, right?
they call it
Yeah,
manhandling for a reason because men do it. Women don't do it.
yeah,
They're cleverer than that.
yeah.
Craig Hardiman went the 300s lapping faster than R7s. Craig, stop pointing out, stop ruining our lives with these facts. I told you he's an annoying guy. He knows everything, this guy. But they were, yeah, these R7s. I don't know what state of tune they're in. I don't think they're as tuned up as those 300s. Also, those 300s have a lot of development into them, and the rider's all crazy. So yeah, there is that. They will get faster. Incidentally, the two American ladies, do they have any European racing experience at all, or not?
Uh, Lizzie's from the UK. Excuse me.
Oh, okay.
So Lizzie, but Mallory, no, she raced in Moto America here in America, but not overseas before. So this is her
Yeah,
first.
you see, it's a big deal. I mean, when we've got
Yeah.
two South African ladies, one is sorry, voice, Jessica Howden and Nicole van Aswegen. And Jessica has ridden at least raced last year in Europe. I don't know how long she's ridden there, but she has a fair amount of European experience. Nicole has none. And she here in South Africa used to race Ducatis, superbikes and BMW S-Styles and RRs, and very accomplished. I mean, it's one of those when she lines up on the grid next to the boys, you see them looking at her over at her very nervously. You know what I mean? But when you go to Europe, it is very different. It's just the whole atmosphere, culture, the vibe, the tracks, the way everything works is completely different. So she will get faster. She will get into it. She will learn as she goes. I mean, look at old damn, his name's Joe Roberts in Moto
Yeah.
2. I mean, he's a damn good rider, but look how long it's sort of taken him to get into it, and he's there now. So yeah, it does take a while. I mean, for all non-Europeans, it does. It's a hell of a step to go there and do something. So yeah, you're gonna see her get better, quicker, a lot faster.
Absolutely, yeah, and I'm excited. I think it's great. Like I said, and it's different. It brings a different vibe to the sport
Yeah.
altogether.
I
Which is
did love
good.
when they had the red flag and they were sort of in the pits. I mean, because the red flag's not cool, obviously, but I mean when they were in the pits and they were going around showing all the different ladies and talking about them, introducing them all, bringing them to the world. I do like that, and as you said, they call it a destination class. So this is the women's champion, championship. You become the women's champion, which sounds like they should be developing people to move into other championships. But then again, World Superbikes is a destination championship. You are the World Superbike champion, and yet nothing's stopping people from World Superbikes from moving to MotoGP or moving anywhere else. So I do think is an opportunity to get ladies to come race in a world championship. And should they thrive there, then yeah, they can still they can become the champion, the ultimate champion, and still move on somewhere else. So I think it's a brilliant idea. I mean, World Superbikes, well done there, well done.
Absolutely, and I'm pretty sure that the bikes, they're not far from stock, right? I don't think they got a lot of motor work, and the R7s, they don't make that much horsepower anyway. It's like what
Something
70
like
or
that, yeah.
75, something like that, right? Where a 300, yeah, they're probably pumping out 50, but they weigh a lot less, right? So power to weight
Uh,
ratio
300, yeah, they're about 44 standard trim, 44. But I mean, yeah, they do weigh a lot less. They've had a lot of
development.
these R7s are stock bikes, so they're all loaded in one truck and brought to the track. Whereas the 300s have all been tinkered with it by independent workshops, and you know what that means. None of them are standard. None of them, they're all cheated to hell, but there's no way in hell anyone's going to find that. You know what I mean? So they
Yeah.
probably, in standard trim, they make like 44 horsepower. You'll probably find these are making like 60.
I love it, man. But I love those lower classes, the categories, right? The 300s, because they're just as good as Moto 3, sometimes even better.
The race is better.
Yeah, for
But they,
sure.
as I do point out, I mean, it's meant to be a development cup, but there hasn't been any really real shining stars coming out of there, if you know what I mean. The bikes I think are just too slow. I mean, the Moto threes obviously are a lot quicker. So the quicker the bike is, the better the rider you need to handle it. And those 300s, they're just not fast enough to really kind of let the rider have the edge. I mean, you pull zero point 0.1 of a second out of a corner, and they're going to make up 0.5 on you in your slipstream. So the rider does not make enough of a difference. So if you go to R7s and things like that, there you're going to see the rider makes much more of a difference, and you're going to see the rider himself or herself thrive a lot more. So yeah, I think it's a good idea. Let's do it.
Yeah, 100%. And you said the Suzuki 8R, right? I got a good buddy of mine that races that in Moto
Yeah,
America,
yeah. You guys have a
Rossi Moore.
series there, don't you?
Yep, the Twins Cup. Yeah, where the Aprilia
Yeah, of
RS660, the R7s, the 8R. Yeah, they all race
course.
together, and it's phenomenal. It really is. The
Yeah,
8R is a great bike. It's up there. The racing's really good. But if I was going to buy one of those bikes and race it, it would be the Aprilia or the Suzuki 8R.
yeah.
Definitely, hands down. Um,
Yeah, they're
d-
decent bikes. We
uh,
had
uh,
last week we had the South African launch of the 8R. We went out. It's about 250 miles east of Johannesburg. Is a sort of area is a province called Mpumalanga, which is just mountains and rivers and beautiful mountain. But the whole province is made up of mountain passes. So we went and rode them there. Man, it was awesome. I mean, they're not stupidly fast, but you go through these corners and they're so light and so flickable, and the power. I mean, it's torquey enough, and you just flick it into corners, and then you catch it on the throttle and go whop, flick it into the next corner, whop, flick it into the next corner, whop, and that's all you do. It's so cool. It's just
uh,
so much fun. I mean, in fact, the guy from Suzuki here in South Africa was saying they're actually talking about potentially starting a new class for those here. An 8R Cup of some sort. And they're fast enough to be fun and cheap enough to be affordable. So I think it'll be good fun. I'm kind of if they do it, I'm kind of thinking about it. I'll make my grand return to racing on a
let's
Suzuki
go. I love it, dude. I love the idea. I'm 100% in. I'm with it. Um,
8R.
yeah, the A&R. It's the format's a great bike, and I got a buddy that works on them, obviously in the paddock, and he's like, it's got its own little nuances with it, of course, just like all new bikes do that you got to learn, right? But altogether, it's an absolute fabulous motorcycle, and it's cheap, like you said, right? It's actually
Yeah,
affordable. It's not unobtainable like most leader bikes are right now. You go buy a brand new leader bike, you're like $30,000 after tax. You're like, wait, what? That's a lot of money, man.
yeah.
I tell everybody, man, let's just sell all the big bikes and everybody buy Honda Groms and Z125s and let's just race around the world.
Have you seen guys? How guys? I don't know about in the States, but I know in Europe how they pimp those things, Honda Groms. Those
Yeah,
little 70 or they're 100 cc. I forgot what they are anyway.
125. Yeah,
125 cc. There
yeah,
we go. I'm a journalist. I'm supposed to know this stuff. But anyway, have you seen how they pimp them out? I mean, they put extended swing arms and anodized everything, and wow, it's just
yeah.
on these little things. It's brilliant.
It is, and there's so much fun to ride. Have you ever ridden one?
We did a. I've got a friend. She's a long-standing Honda sales lady in one of the big Honda dealerships, and they've got a bit of a club. I mean, they also customize a bunch of these things. They've got one customized for Brad Binder, the whole 33 Brad Binder Red Bull one. They've got a Darren Binder one. They've got a Marquez one. They've got a Rossi one. And yeah, we went on a breakfast run with them, joined them. I mean, it wasn't a far breakfast run. Let's be fair. You don't really do distance on those things. But man, it was so cool. It's just, especially when there's a whole group of you riding bikes like this and it becomes like this whole social thing. It was really brilliant. It was a lot of fun.
Exactly what he just said. Y'all heard that, a lot of fun, and that's what you
Oh,
want to
yeah.
have when you're on two wheels, no matter what it is. And
Yeah.
you're right, Donovan. It's not a bike you're going to get on and do long distances, but it's perfect for your little town commuter.
But I gotta tell you, so we're deviating from racing a bit now. I've got these two friends, two lady friends. They are absolutely nuts. These two. If anyone interested, look up Tank Girls in South Africa. It's a lady. Her name's Skinny. She's got a friend Skinny and Yolandi. You must see the stuff they do. I mean, they're just crazy doing these wacky kind of adventures. And one of them is my friend. A friend of mine started building these little sort of pit bikes, 70cc pit bikes. You know what a pit bike is?
Hmm.
Sort of a mini off-road bike. So not a you got mini motos are like mini super bikes. These are like mini motocross bikes, except he made them road legal. And they got on two of these things and they went down to Cape Town, which is the far south of South Africa, and rode them off road all the way back to Johannesburg, which is 1,000 miles. They did a
Holy
thousand
shit.
miles on these two tiny little things, and I'm not joking. They're about this big, like genuine dimensions, about this big, with this tiny little 70cc motor. And they rode rode them 1,000 miles from Cape Town to Johannesburg. It was mad. Uh, so yeah, you say don't do distance unless you're absolutely nuts. Go have a look at Tank Girls. They're a lot of fun to follow. So yeah, go
I,
check them.
I did. I wrote it down. Tank Girls. I'm gonna look
I
them
saw
up.
that.
And you said Instagram or
Instagram
YouTube?
and Facebook.
Okay,
Look up her name's Skinny from Skulkfake. Just look up Tank Girls Skinny.
gotcha.
That should be enough.
Gotcha, dude. That's
Yep.
awesome. But yeah, yeah, dude. It's we can get off the racist subject, right? Still riding anyway. So
We're
yeah,
riding
it's
motorbikes. We're having fun. That's all that counts,
that's
isn't
all
it?
that matters. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, yeah. I think it's great, I would love to see the women's class have different bikes than just the R7. You know, have the 8Rs and the RS660s in there too as well. Because it'll bring a different dynamic too to the
I
sport,
think
right?
I think that can become a future goal. I think right now what they're really focusing on is the ladies themselves. They need to be the sort of center of attention. So if you make all the bikes exactly the same, then you're only focusing on what's different, which is the ladies. So I think right now this is the right way to go. Keep the bikes very similar. Keep the bikes, yeah. Don't make much variation in them. But I mean, as the class grows, as the talent gets closer, as everybody starts figuring out, yeah, we could definitely do that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And they run Pirellis too. Yeah, they're
I think
Pirellis
so.
and
Yeah, the all of World Superbikes
yeah,
Pirellis. I think. Yeah.
Pirellis. Yeah, and then obviously Moto 3, Moto 2, and then do you think Moto GP will eventually be Pirellis too as well?
I'm pretty sure they signed a deal with Michelin again not so long ago. I know they're talking about a new front tire which was meant to come out next year. Now they're talking about only the year after, which is a bit bloody useless as far as I'm concerned. Get on with it. To deal more with the downforce and all of that kind of stuff. Because right now, MotoGP's got that problem of the riders can't overtake because you get up behind the rider in front of you, and next thing your front tire overheats, and then you want to fall down. So yeah, they were saying that Michelin's bringing up a new tire. That's the problem when you've got a kind of one make supplier. Is it does? I mean, you don't. Why do Michelin need to spend millions and millions developing a brand new tire when there's no one else on the grid? So who cares? Whereas if Dunlop was there or Bridgestone was there, then maybe. But then, okay, on the other hand, then I mean, you saw towards the end of the sort of multi-tire brand era where some tracks worked on Michelin, some track works on Bridgestone, and if you don't have the right tire brand, you don't win. And do we really want a racing series where the tire brand you happen to be with is going to decide whether you win or not? We want the riders to win, not the tire. So yeah, I kind of ups and downs. We don't get the innovation from tires, on this one make series, but at the same time, I do think it is a lot more rider focused, and I'd rather have rider focus.
No,
I'd rather have a voice that actually works. Come on.
you're absolutely right. I feel the same. I'd rather have the rider instead of the tire dictating
Yeah.
the championship. And what so my kind of view too is in, instead of going to 850 cc's, why didn't they just change the tires? Because wouldn't that and theoretically done the same thing and saved a shit ton of money?
Well, did you see you remember what Sepang did to try and lower the top speed of at their track? They changed the last corner. Remember, it was a few years ago.
Yeah,
So the last corner at Sepang is that sort of almost 180-degree hairpin, left-hand
yeah.
hairpin. And all they did is they just changed it to make it really off camber. So it slowed down the speed going through that corner. The riders had to take it a lot slower, and it brought down the top speed. I mean, Craig, if he's still watching, he'll be able to he'll confirm it for us. Yeah, they brought down the top speed like 10, 20 kilometers per hour. I mean, 10, 15 miles an hour. So it did definitely make a difference. So I think, yeah, that could. I mean, especially the rear tire, if they just sort of all agree that they're bringing out a harder rear, it's going to have less traction, it could. Yeah, but do they want to do that? I don't know. Michelin also want to produce the best tires they can. They want to showcase their brand. So I don't know if Michelin's going to go for that. But it is an idea. I mean, just increase, I mean, take all those wings, lob them all off. Tell them if you put a wing on there, we're going to drag you out back and beat you with a stick. That's what you do it.
Yes,
If
yes.
you put ride house devices on, we'll drag you out back and beat you with a stick. Go old school Spanish rules. You know what I mean? Put you in the Gigi D'Alene in a stockade like this.
Yes. Yeah, I'm glad to see that the rules are going to change. It's time for a change, in my personal opinion. Especially with the aero, man, it's just gotten so out of hand. I mean, you said it. It dictates if you're behind somebody and your front tire overheats. You got to pull back, let it come back up to temperature, and then try to attack again, right?
Although, I do think some of that also has to do with the tracks themselves. They've become a lot slower recently. You got that Herman Tilk stupid tracks where it's all just hairpins onto long straights, and so you do the speeds are a lot slower. You don't with the speeds being slower, you don't really get air over the front tire. Like in those Mugello, they didn't quite have that same problem. I mean, Mugello, they had general wear issues, but not really overheating. The riders were trying to maintain their tires, just general wear, but not overheating because the straights are so long, the speeds are higher, the tires cool down a lot. Although telling everybody just rebuild your tracks to make them a lot faster, I can't really see that happening. But I do wish we would. I mean, I was thinking about this a while ago. The best races that we see is Mugello. Okay, not this Mugello, but in general, Mugello is pretty good. Phillip Island, fast circuit, fast and flowing, one of the best. Silverstone, fast and flowing, one of the best. The fast flowing circuits. Do you remember when, World Superbikes back in the 90s? They used to race at the old Hockenheim circuit, which was just really, really long straights followed by hairpins. And racing was so good. You'd have like 15 bikes going doing 180 miles an hour, all just sort of doing this, and then who's going to be latest on the brakes? And then it didn't matter how good you were through those corners, because whatever time the guy behind you lost, he's going to catch up with the slipstream. It was so good. And then, of course, Herman Tilk got involved, and he completely ruined that circuit. And now it's some stupid little go-kart something or other. And it just, they need these cool, fast-flowing circuits back again. I mean, that is essentially the answer. But, yeah, anyway, you're in America. Phone Elon Musk. Tell him, stop all this space travel and Twitter and all that. Come on, build us some proper circuits, man. Get on with it.
I'll get right on that, Donovan. Right on
Thanks,
that.
man.
I'll call him up.
Thanks,
You're very welcome. Yes, Elon. You heard it. Forget SpaceX. We need new proper racetracks around the world.
Forget Mars. No one cares about Mars. We need racetracks here.
Right. And then after you build us a racetracks, then you go back to Mars. Yeah, but
we're good with that. Mars. You got to get on with important stuff first.
Very important stuff. I'm with it. Yes, man. Yeah, and I guess everybody's fear was too, Donovan, that when they made the 850s that they're making now, I believe that team's already working on them.
Yeah, they must be.
Yeah, they got to be, right? You don't want to wait till next year to start. You want to be ahead of the game. And I hope it don't end up like it did in 2007 when they first went to 800s, right?
But the way they're doing it now is different. And they got a point. I mean, something they did after the 800s, they moved back to 1000s. You remember they made the bore 81 millimeters.
Yeah,
not allowed to be bigger than 81 millimeters. They didn't do that with the 800s before, so they had these massive pistons with these tiny little strokes so that it would develop horsepower, but they became really, really difficult to ride, sort of very peaky kind of motors. And that's where it became, that was where the problem was. So now they're limiting the bore, which means bigger strokes, which means more torque. And that's what you want. A torquier motor is easier to ride, and it gives you more sort of flexibility in the way you ride the bike. So I really hope that this will work. It'll still make the bikes fun to ride, still make them flexible, so different riding styles can ride on them, and decrease the top speed a little bit.
Yeah, let's bring it back to where we seen Marco Melandri. Was it 2004 or 5 when he was on the Honda movie star Honda? Off the top of my head, if I can remember, he's coming to that left hand corner, rear tire just smoking with the peace sign up, right, just getting it out.
Phillip Island,
Yeah,
remember that?
yes, we need that back. That's the type of racing we want to see.
Yes, okay. When they want to use traction control, take them out back, put them in the stock, and beat them.
You guys heard the answer. Yes,
yes.
yes.
I'll sort it out, no problem. You'll see. 2 races in, we'll have 57 bikes dancing for the lead, all tire smoking and on fire. It'll be brilliant.
And a bunch of people in the paddock with black eyes, right?
Yeah. No, only for a little while until they learn their lessons.
I think it's a great idea. Brilliant idea. Yeah, man, if World Superbike's been absolutely amazing too, right? Johnny Ray has not been up to Johnny Ray's par on the Yamaha, whereas Top Rack has been absolutely murdered. We touched base on it already a little bit when we was talking about Top Rack and the whole Honda MotoGP thing that's might be happening. I don't know. Bulaga really surprised me when he jumped on that V4. I was like, holy shit, like he's fast. Like this is not a one.
Dare I say there's a bit of a discrepancy between World Superbikes and MotoGP. I mean, World Superbikes is where you go if you're not good enough for MotoGP. And I mean, sucks to say it, but that's kind of the truth. I mean, Bulaga was good, but not that good. I mean, he was sort of Aaron Canet kind of pace, if you know what I mean. Just sort of there, but not that special. And went across to World Superbike, so now he's a front runner. And I don't think Bulaga has what it takes to become a front runner in MotoGP. I mean, we see his teammate is older Bautista, who is a sort of has been MotoGP rider. He is, he left MotoGP. He just couldn't cut it. And now again, we're seeing him a multiple champion. So that does all sort of count something. And I mean, that's where I think a lot of the MotoGP teams discounted Razgat Lioglu, although he may be brilliant to watch and brilliant to watch him go around. But there are lots of really great riders. I mean, I've seen riders on national level that also hook the bike sideways everywhere, smoking the tire, but they're not that fast. They look great, but they're not that fast. So, but now, I mean, his move to BMW and being able to do that on a machine as I keep saying, he really ought not be able to do that. You look at all the other riders. I mean, the likes of Redding, Van der Mark, all of them. He's way ahead of them. I mean, again, Rossi moving the Yamaha vibes. So maybe now sort of teams are going, okay, hang on, this guy can do it. This guy can do it. It was Lynn Jarvis who sort of said, remember Top Rack rode the Yamaha MotoGP bike. And Lynn Jarvis kind of said, look, he's good. He wasn't amazing. He didn't absolutely flabbergast everybody. And I mean, why take a chance on this guy who might not be able to adapt and might not be able to move to MotoGP, having sort of developed a style around World Superbikes? Why not rather take a Moto2 rider? Which he was sort of right at the time, but I think Toprak's move to BMW kind of proves that this guy can change the way he rides, he can adapt. And I think it kind of it takes away a few question marks from him from MotoGP teams. So maybe they are talking to him.
Yeah, and BMW, the team that Garrett Gerloff's on, they're not going to be in World Superbike next year neither.
Yeah.
So
where's Gerloff going?
I don't know. I haven't heard. Yeah, I haven't heard yet. So hopefully he'll stay in World Superbike because we need Americans over there. We do. We need Americans everywhere.
Or Moto America gets another front runner. Could be fun.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, or we get it exactly. We get Garrett back, right? Which, don't get me wrong, be an absolute honor to have Garrett Gerloff back in the paddock. Absolutely, it would be. But yeah,
you'd rather see him winning World Superbikes though.
100% I would. Yes, waving the American flag, just like my boy Joe Roberts in Moto2, right? Let's go. So hopefully his season will continue to go on the up and up and up and not go down. And Yeah, he has a fighting chance, man. I hope he's really got a shot at being at the Trackhouse Aprilia team too. That's what I'm hoping. Um,
Mm.
now we finally got an American team in MotoGP. Um, we need an American, obviously, in MotoGP, and there's nobody better but Joe Roberts to get over
Yeah,
there.
right now. I
Not
fear.
taking nothing away from anybody in Moto America right now, because you guys are all absolute legends, right? But
Yeah,
he's there. He's got the
yeah,
backing, and there's a lot of stuff that's got to fall into place in order to make it happen anyway. Um, so yeah, man, I'm definitely excited about that. Hopefully he'll keep it upright and keep it
yeah.
going. You know,
What
so
what I do think is for America, well, any non-European country, they need to get their riders there earlier. We had Brad Binder over in he went to Europe at 12. You know what I mean? And it took him a long time. It did. It wasn't until he was well into Moto 3 that he started kind of eventually gelling with everything. It's sorry to use the language, it's a mind fuck.
no
When you're in
facts.
different cultures, it does. And racing is a very mindful sort of game. Your mind needs to be on it. And I think where America, I would suggest possibly a theory that America's a very cushy place. There's a lot of great championships you have there. Um, and so it kind of you kind of instead of taking the jump over the pond, to go race in Europe, you kind of end up staying in America, going through there. And by the time you're in your mid 20s racing AMAs or Moto America, it's kind of too late. You know what I mean? It's now then you're gonna take the jump over and you've got to go join a Moto 2 team, and then you need to be over there when you're in your early teens already, at least. Uh, so yeah, I would I would say to America, as much like Australia, South Africa, any one of these countries, you guys need to get your riders over there early. You look at the Spanish. I mean, they spot their riders when they're like 4 years old, racing mini motos. They're already going that one. We like that one, and they're ready then, starting to develop their riders and get them ready then. So I think yeah, there needs to be a bit more kind of talent spotting at a young age. Start prepping them for MotoGP, then start getting them ready to go to Europe. That
Yeah,
that's what needs to happen. I think imagine Joe Roberts. I mean, I don't know his history beyond MotoGP that well, or before MotoGP that well. But I mean, imagine when he was like 14, he went over and started racing in Spain on Moto 3 bikes. I'm pretty sure he'd be at least in MotoGP by now. You know what I mean?
yeah. No, you're right.
Ben Spies.
Absolutely.
I mean, imagine Ben Spies also, same thing. I mean, that dude was so talented, and for him to have come over to Europe and immediately start winning, I mean, it's like Kenny Roberts Senior vibes. It's wow, it's super talent. I mean, to be able to do that is just people don't realize how good you have to be, what kind of a mind, what kind of a talent you have to be able to do that. Kenny Roberts Senior is, as far as I'm concerned, one of, if not the greatest rider that MotoGP's ever had. For him to have hopped over the pond and immediately start winning is just it's people don't appreciate what a big deal that is. Ben Spies, same kind of thing. But imagine he was 14 and went and started racing. Well, in those days would have been 125s. The dude would have probably ended up becoming a multiple MotoGP rider.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Absolutely. Yeah, we have some good programs out here, and we discussed this like the SFL Mini GP out there in South Florida. They're pumping out a lot of champions in Junior Cup and a lot of up and coming talents in there, right? But yeah, you're right. We need our future to be out there at a young age, and you're exactly right. People don't understand the mental game it takes and the steps involved because you're going to a new place, new people, new culture, new food, new everything, right? But you got to be strong in the mind and adapt yourself to it and just get on with what you're there for. Love on two wheels and pin in the gas and make it happen, right? That's what you're there for.
Putting the
Um,
gas. There we go.
pin in the gas,
Alternatively, Liberty Media, but just make half the races in the USA. That could work also.
right? Let's go.
There we
Um,
go. You can do
yeah,
it.
let's
There's going
go.
to be
Let's do
12
it.
US rounds next year.
I'd love it, right? It's like I tell people we need to have that translogic when we used to have it back when BSB and Moto America raced together. We need to
Yeah,
have something like that
yeah.
happen again too, as well, right? That'd be good for just the whole sport in general.
A
But just real
motorcycle
quick,
world,
yeah, do what now?
a motorcycle World Cup.
A motorcycle, exactly. A motorcycle World Cup.
Motorcycle Des Nations, yeah.
I love it. Just Alvaro Batista, just real quick. He is, a lot of people forget, man. He raced 125 cc's and 250 GP
He
bikes
was a
back in the
champion,
day.
yeah.
He was a champion. He is a fast guy. He knows what he's doing. I don't think he'll retire, but I don't know. He might. So I just
No,
wanted to throw that out there real quick.
anybody who ends up on a MotoGP bike is fast or
Mhm.
fast. Uh, anybody who ends up on a motor, I saw an interesting statistic. There have been more people in space than have ridden a MotoGP bike. Which is just think about that. Think
That's
about that for a
crazy.
second. There are more astronauts than MotoGP riders. It just shows. To be able to get to that stage where you're on a MotoGP bike racing it competitively with a team backing you, the talent and speed you have to have is incredible. So no, Bautista. When I kind of say he didn't quite make it in MotoGP, it doesn't mean he's a bad rider. It means he's
Mm-mm.
damn good. He just wasn't. He just didn't quite have superpowers, if you know what
No,
I mean.
yeah. He wasn't an
So the dude
alien.
is damn good. To win World Superbikes, you have to be damn good, but just not quite alien like MotoGP.
That's 100% fact, right? And your buddy Craig, which thank you so much, Craig, says Trackhouse has said Roberts was an option, but not what they are looking for. And I heard that
What
too
I
as
mean, he's
well.
annoying. This Craig guy, he's annoying. He knows so much stuff. We're supposed to be the knowledgeable ones here. People are supposed to be seeking our guidance. you know, Diving into our pools of wisdom, and we're like, Craig.
Yeah.
We used to do on our old podcast. We used to do a chat. Craig was one of them. There was a chap named Stephen Berry, one of these annoying guys who fact checks everything you say. In fact, he doesn't fact check; he just knows. So he kept piping into the comment section. I think we eventually blocked him just for our own kind of own
All right,
own
my
sort
own
of.
sanity. Yeah. You're like, hold up. Block.
Wow, no, this guy's making us look bad. Get rid of him. Get rid of him. To the stock. Put him in the stock. Beat him.
Yeah. But exactly. Take him out back and beat him until he learns his lesson. I love it. Take him out back. That's what I'm gonna start saying, man. Just take him out back, beat him until he learns his lesson. It's all good.
Yeah.
He'll learn. Yeah, he'll learn. But listen, I would love that. But Craig, that's what we need. We need an American at Trackhouse, right? And again, we already touched base on, man. KTM's got Anea Bastianini, Maverick Vinales. We don't know who's going to be at Aprilia except for Jorge Martin right now. We don't know if Raul's going to be there, right? And at well, it's not track, yeah, Trackhouse. Where Miguel Oliveira, we ain't heard where he's going to go. There's still a lot up in the air right now, and there's still a lot of movement that's got to
Yeah.
take place, and it's very interesting.
Did you see that meme where it was Joe Roberts talking to Miguel Oliveira, going, "Come on, move up, come on," or they were saying, "Come on, Aprilia, take Miguel, come on, Miguel, take Miguel, take Miguel, take Miguel." I think it'll be cool.
No,
Ralph Hernandez has weirdly been doing well this year. He's one of those sort of guys who was a hot shot in Moto 2 and just completely flunked in MotoGP. I unconfirmed, although I think he was a little bit of a difficult guy to work with. I know I've heard whispers. Little birdies have whispered that apparently it was a nightmare when he first moved to KTM and the MotoGP. He was just one of these, he arrived there, kind of, look at me, I'm the greatest rider in the world. You will all bow down before, I'm
yeah.
exaggerating. He was taking people out back and beating them,
You will learn your lesson.
You'll learn your lesson. And that's sort of, KTM's not that kind of team. It's a family. It's really is sort of a team. They promote kind of team spirit, which is why Binder does so well there. He is, you've never heard him say bad things about KTM. You've never heard him criticize his team. Even when I'm sure there's been cases in his mind, he's been like, fuck these guys, fuck these. Anyway, I'd like to thank my team. They did such a great job. So, no, you need to be a kind of a team player. When you arrive there, sort of acting high and mighty, you don't last long. So I do think Raul is maybe kind of, I do think he's maybe found his footing, maybe not just with riding, but I'm thinking the whole sort of, the whole psychology and everything of being in a MotoGP, being in one of these teams. So he is looking a lot better. I fear Miguel is not looking, he's outdoing Miguel this year, I think. Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Read there. Craig's being clever again. Take him out back and beat him.
Craig, I got to see you out back. He says, considering Rawls' bike had the incorrect components on his bike for a number of rounds, since his mechanics found the issues, he has performing very well the last 2 rounds. I
Yeah,
mean, he has.
yeah,
Absolutely,
true.
he has. Everybody was like, "Where's this coming from?" But I'm
Yeah,
glad to see it. It's good to see people in MotoGP finally start to do well, and it makes them
yeah.
happy, and the team's happy. And he says Miguel is totally overrated. Listen, he married his sister. That's all I'm gonna say.
There's been a lot of people, I mean, mostly joking about you watch married people get married, and then all of a sudden they just kind of go backwards. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
He married his sister,
he
so
married
come on,
his
what a way
sister.
to get backwards. That
Right.
means are a bit awkward and small.
Uh,
Now
I
Miguel,
love it.
I don't know. He just, uh, yeah, he was one of these guys. He was very good in Moto 2, very good in Moto 3 before that, and he just, yeah, you remember? I mean, there was that year in 2020. I mean, I think he won one of the races in the Tech 3 team,
Yeah, he did.
Austria, I think it was. Yeah, or he finished in the. I can't remember, but yeah, I mean, he had some really, really good, really, really good races, and he just kind of, I don't know. I remember again, racing is a lot here. A lot of it is going on here, and you when you don't quite get together here properly, that's when it becomes tricky. And Miguel isn't quite being the same rider he used to be. I don't know the background story. I don't know what sort of is going on in that Trackhouse team, or there could be other things at play. But yeah, he hasn't gotten it together, has he? I mean, and no one's sort of looking going, wow, that Miguel Oliveira, he's really, no one's saying that. He's just sort of, he's on a bike, he's on the factory Aprilia bike, the 2024 one. Um, he should be doing better. He kind of should. So, yeah, take him out back and beat him.
Put him in the box. Exactly. Put him in the box. Yeah, I don't know, man. There's still so much that has to happen. And I'm super excited to see where everybody's gonna fall, all the pieces are gonna fall into place. And it's still Furman, Aldegar, he's coming in MotoGP, signed a contract for Ducati. They have it. We
I'm,
ain't heard nothing.
I think it's going to be Furman and Morbidelli and Pramac.
Do you
Which
think?
means that Morbidelli's going to go start bird watching next year, and Furman's going to become a professional surfer. Given my track record of predictions so far,
Oh man. So is the rumor mill still that Yamaha want Pramac to be a Yamaha bike now next year, or is that
I can't see it. I just can't. Once again, unless they're literally paying Pramac to take their bikes, it's like, yeah, we'll give you money to use our bikes. I just don't see it. And then again, I've been wrong. I mean, next year Pramac might become a professional, I don't know, whaling outfit. I can't. I mean, really, I cannot. Yeah. I mean, the rumor mill's been going, but it hasn't really moved along. I mean, nothing's sort of changed. But let's see if Pramac does move to Yamaha, there needs to be there's got to be something. Either they've come along and said, "Well, look, we've invented a new type of nuclear piston that's going to give the bike another 400 horsepower, and weighs 3 ounces." Unless they've come forward with something like that, or it's just a giant financial decision. It's like Yamaha have said, "Right, we'll give you $1 million per bike to race them." Again, you don't know the kind of behind the scenes, the financial positions of these teams. Maybe Ducati, I don't know what Ducati is charging them to race those two factory bikes. Maybe it's exorbitant. Maybe they're sort of struggling to maintain. They've got good bikes and they're doing well on track, but for all we know, they're all eating moldy bread. Behind the pits. We don't know. At night the mechanics sleep on cardboard boxes.
they
So we
eat
don't
the
know. So
scraps from
maybe,
all the bad people in the box?
yeah, they're sitting there outside. They're sitting there outside the Nova team, going, "Bit of pasta, you want to eat that pasta? I have a little bit, maybe. Yes." We don't know. We don't know. Yeah, there's a few things to consider. So if they do move to Yamaha, yeah, it's more than just. It's got to be a big kind of consideration there. It's got to be something huge. So, yeah, let's see.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see a non-Ducati Cup in MotoGP, right? Like just a couple less, even though I'm a huge Ducati fan, but I think
Mm.
eight's just a lot, I'd like to see other manufacturers, like you said, BMW. Love to see BMW. Where's
That would be
Suzuki?
cool.
Bring Suzuki, but where's Kawasaki? Let's go, right?
They're all building. I mean, Kawasaki's World Superbikes are going to be using Promoter or under the
Yep.
Promoter branding next year. The
Yep.
Japanese, I'm very sure, are all investing in alternative energy. I don't think they're investing in internal combustion.
Mm-mm. No.
Here's something interesting we did this week. Now that we keep going off the racing track, we went out somewhere on a farm about 2 hours outside of Johannesburg. Went to these guys have a factory where they take vehicles. I mean, a lot of them it's farming sort of implements and stuff where the motor's blown, and they replace it with an electric motor and a battery, which is actually works out. It works out roughly the same as to completely rebuild a gasoline engine, or diesel engine. And so what they did is they had a KTM 450 where the motor just completely exploded, and they needed to spend a huge amount of money rebuilding it. And they put an electric motor and a battery in it. They installed it themselves, and it worked out cheaper and easier to maintain, and a lot of it just as fast than rebuilding the petrol engine. And nowadays, I mean, they build these farm implements that are all they import all the parts from China, they assemble it themselves, and they're doing bloody well. They're selling a ton of the things to all the farmers out there. The farmers all saying, I mean, it's quiet, they don't make a big noise, there's no maintenance, it's just as good as the petrol stuff and much cheaper, much everything. And I do think, yeah, I do think the Japanese, that's where they're looking. I do think they think that's where the future, that's where they need to be. The Europeans, God bless them, they're sticking to their guns. They like their fossil fuel motors and all that kind of stuff. So they're the ones putting into it. So I can't see Suzuki coming back. I can't see Kawasaki putting much into it. I can't even Yamaha. I'm not sure of Honda neither. I hope I'm wrong. I've been wrong about a ton of stuff. I really hope I'm wrong about this. There's a guy named Brendan saying, Donovan, what's your take on the new Hero 4-valve X-Pulse 200? Absolutely brilliant. I've actually got a Hero ride tomorrow. We're doing an 80-kilometer, 60-mile ride to a place called Jericho Rock. It's this massive hill that's actually just a giant rock out in the middle of absolutely nowhere. We do this great off-road ride, and then we ride these bikes up to the top. And you see like 1,000,000 miles into the distance. It's fantastic. So we're doing that. So, Brendan, if you want to know, that's what I think. Come ride with us tomorrow, Brendan. Where are you? Are you anywhere near Joburg? If you're not, leave right now. You'll join us tomorrow. You'll be fine.
Well, yeah, and we won't put you in the box. We promise.
Yeah, if you make it, we won't put you in the box. If you don't make it, I'm going to find you and I'm putting you in the box. I'm going to beat you with a stick.
Until you learn your lesson. That's awesome.
You got to learn. Durban, mate, if you leave now, you'll arrive in time to have breakfast and then go on the ride. Get on with it.
How far is Durban from where you guys going, Donovan?
It's like 10 minutes. No, wait, it's about 400 miles, but 10 minutes.
Exactly 10 minutes. So you better hurry up, Brendan.
Brendan, you got no excuse, mate. Get on with it.
That's it. Let's go. Oh, that's awesome. So the Hero V4, what is the Hero?
So Hero is an Indian brand. You might remember they had a Moto America bike, or AMA Superbikes. They built a 600 or something. I think they raced it at Daytona. This is kind of weird. Hero is the largest motorcycle manufacturer in the world, and yet you've never heard of it, have you? Put it this way. So Indian manufacturer. They used to be called Hero Honda in the 80s up to in the 90s. They split from Honda and went their own way, just Hero. They've got a little 100cc, little small commuter bike. They build more of that 100cc model, just that one model. They build more of those models per year than the whole of Suzuki and the whole of Kawasaki combined. It's mad. It's mental. I mean, in India alone, they sell 500,000 bikes a month.
Holy shit.
Yeah, they just recently, I mean, the company's only been going for like 15, 20 years. They celebrated 100,000 motorcycles a few years ago, a couple of years ago. It's huge.
It's
huge. But, they focus more on the Asian sort of market, Asian and Northern Africa, the smaller kind of commuter commercial sort of bikes. So they're new here in South Africa because we're having a bit of a wave of kind of commuter commercial bikes. And America, they do actually have an importer. They're starting now. because Hero's moving more towards the kind of the sort of more recreational kind of bike. X Pulses, they're sort of off road. It's based on the old Honda XR200. Originally, that's where the motor was based on. It's been updated and everything. You see, they've been racing Dakar. They actually did very well. There was the Botswanian rider, Ross Branch, finished second in the Dakar Rally, beat all the KTMs. So, yeah, look out for them. They need a MotoGP team. Come to MotoGP. If you don't, we'll take you out back and beat you.
And leave you in the box. Yeah, for sure. I wrote that down because I'm definitely going to look that up, the Hero V.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Yeah, he said, we'll put you in the box, put you in the box. I love it. I absolutely love it.
You and I, my friend, they must put us in charge. We'll sort MotoGP out. 2 races from now, everything will be sorted.
It'll be the best racing on the planet. Absolutely. Oh, man. So, who do you got for the next MotoGP race coming up? You, as far as who do you think is going to finish on the podium?
Do you know what's so cool about MotoGP these days? I have no idea.
I know. I don't either.
One prediction I did have right, by the way. Last time we spoke, it looked like Bagnaia was in a spot of trouble, and Martin was kind of on form. And it looked like Martin was going to take it. And at that stage, I said, guys, don't forget, Bagnaia was shaky at the beginning of the last 2 years, and he still came back and won it, which is what it looks like he's doing now. So I do think Bagnaia will be up there. I think he's sort of found his stride now. It takes him a while to sort of get into the season, judging from past seasons. It takes him a while to get into it. But once he's in it, and he's got his head in it and he's got the setup right and he's got his mind right, he's got all of that, he is fast. Not only fast, he's a damn clever rider. He is so good, especially when he's leading out front and he's got a rider chasing behind. He knows exactly how to pace himself, how to not panic. He'll see that gap there on this pit board when he comes past. They show the gap. And you'll see the gap shrinking, and he won't panic. He'll still stick to it. He'll still keep his mind. He'll still watch his tires. And he did the same thing at Mugello. I mean, he had Jorge Martin catching up, and he knew that if he started pushing, then he's going to cook his tires, and then he's going to not stand a chance. So he kept his head, kept it together, looked after his tires, and then Martin cooked his tires and ended up going backwards and losing to Bastianini, if you remember, on the last corner. And Pecco's really, really good at that. So I think Pecco will definitely be up there. I think he looks like he's in his mindset now. Marquez is usually quick there. The one thing, and I remember Matt Oxley pointed this out about Acid, it's one of those tracks where you have very different ways that you can ride it. It's not a one-line track. There's many different variations of how you can ride Acid, and they all work. Remember that it's also, again, a fast track, and fast tracks are easier. It's the slow tracks that are really difficult. So, the nice thing about Acid, you could get a whole mix of riders there. I think Pedro Acosta, hopefully Binder. I mean, he's had some time off now. Really, I know Mugello's not a good track for him. Assen, he was good there last year. So I really hope he's got his mind together and he's up there. Martin, obviously, I wouldn't discount him. Bastianini's got stuff to prove. Aprilia's. I mean, it's all the usual stuff, isn't it? I can basically put there's 22 riders on the grid. Everybody except the Hondas are going to be up there.
And that's a fact, right? Honda, we need to come and put you in the box and I'd
be extremely happy if Honda was up there. I mean, Zarco is actually making his fellow Honda riders look bad. You look at just in the Honda camp, Zarco is he's being a superstar right there.
Oh, he is. I
mean, that's really good for him. I hope people are noticing that. But I look forward to Assen. It's always a really, really good race. It's such an iconic circuit. I'll be looking on Facebook and on Twitter, which is now called X. There's some of those. There's a few accounts there, especially on Twitter, where they show some of the old races. I mean, guys, go have a look at some of those accounts. Just go through it and look them up. There were guys showing a whole lot of the older races, especially at Assen. There's that famous Mick Doohan one where Simon Crayfall was up there. The old Assen circuit. There's a whole lot of older. Rainey versus Schwantz versus Gardner, a whole lot of those old ones, and they're really brilliant. Randy Momola, absolutely excellent. If I have my facts straight, Assen was one of the first tracks that Schwantz rode at when he came out for America. I mean, I think he was racing AMA in those days, and he did 1 or 2 wild cards with the Suzuki team. This is like this is like 85, 86. And he did 1 or 2 wild cards, and he was damn good. I remember he didn't do that well in qualifying. I mean, he qualified sort of mid pack, but he ended up finishing. I mean, it was top 10 somewhere. I think he was up their factory rider at that stage was Priya Francesco Keeley, and he was, if I remember correctly, someone needs to double check this for me. I mean, I watched it a while ago, but he was right up there with Keeley. Again, this kid who's never really raced these big powerful two strokes on a track like Assen. That's just, it's a strange circuit, and everyone's speaking a funny language, and it's weird. And again, for these riders to step up there and start racing, it's incredible. It actually is incredible. Those riders were phenomenal. They really were. Yeah, we need more Rainies. We need more Schwanzes. Yes. Come on, guys, get on it, America.
Let's go, right? That's what I'm saying. Let's get it done.
Cancel your Uber account. Get on with it. Come on, start riding motorbikes.
Let's go. I'm with it. Flat track to me is like one of the best ways to train anyway, right? As far as motorcycles go. Brendan says Top Rack Marquez on BMW in 2027. We said we'd love to have BMW in MotoGP for sure. And you know what? That brings up a good point too. Like, I wonder where Alex Marquez is going to end up. And Franco Morbidelli's been looking good too. He's been looking better.
Well, someone pointed out, I mean, Franco Morbidelli's been one of those riders we sort of forget about. I mean, I remember last year he injured himself a ton, and then he injured himself. He was riding off-road motocross or flat track or something. I think it was motocross, and he injured himself, and he missed all preseason testing. And I remember at that stage he'd spent his whole MotoGP career on a 4-cylinder Yamaha, the smooth and silky 4-cylinder Yamaha. And this is the first time he's getting on a V4, and he completely missed all testing. And that's a big deal. I mean, that's a big deal. Testing is where you kind of I remember Rossi was talking about Lorenzo when Lorenzo injured himself, and he was saying that's a big deal because in testing, that's where you get time. So even when the team doesn't need to work on stuff, they can put a decent set of tires on it. You can go out and you can just lap. No pressure, no anything. Try different stuff, work out different things, practice certain things, get used to certain things, feel it, how it works. You got time to do that. On a race weekend, you don't. I mean, you get morning practice on a Friday, and then the second practice is basically a qualifying session. Put new tires on and hit it. You get half an hour after that, and then you're in the qualifying. You don't really get time to kind of sit there and just work on the bike and work on yourself and work on all of that. So Morbidelli's had a hard time, and hopefully now he's sort of finally kind of coming to terms with this new bike. So yeah, that's why I say I think we're going to see Morbidelli there again next year. There were suspicions he'd be leaving the team, but I don't think so. I mean, remember, the team knows the whole background. The team knows exactly what's going on. They can see exactly his progression. So I think they're going to give him another chance next year, probably with Firmin next to him on the Pramac team. Ducati don't hire an up-and-comer in Moto2 and just chuck him on any old bike. I think the VR46, they were saying Bezecchi, might go to Aprilia, which I can see that happening.
Yeah, me too.
I think Aprilia wants a decent Italian rider, and I don't think you get much better than Bezecchi. He's a very sort of solid rider, if you know what I mean. You got Di Gini Antonio, you could be a bit up and down. He's either very good or he crashes and finishes badly. Bezecchi's sort of very constant. Which then where would that? Yeah, who would then take his place in VR46? I don't know. I think Alex Marquez has quite a comfy spot in Gresini. I mean, he does well enough for Gresini. He sort of finishes where you kind of expect a Gresini rider to finish, which is kind of top 10, pretty good, not great, kind of thing. And who's going to take his seat next to him? To be honest, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Jack Miller, maybe. Augusto Fernandez, I think, is going to go to World Superbikes or something. I don't know. He just, especially with putting a team next to Pedro, considering what Pedro's done. Yeah, I don't know. He's got no real bargaining power, has he? I think he's going to have to get some money together, go to World Superbikes, and put some money in a team to race. And I think he'll do it right there. Probably less pressure, more kind of easygoing. He's a decent rider, but. MotoGP, as I said, you can't be a decent rider. You can't be a good rider. You need supernatural powers to do well in MotoGP. And I suspect Augusto Fernandez is just good, which
Yeah.
is very good, but not supernatural.
Yeah. Yeah. That's yeah. Jack, then I heard Miller might go to Honda, but I don't see Jack Miller going to HRC. And the rumors with Mir maybe hanging up his leathers. I'd hate to see Mir do that. I really would. I like,
Mir's good also, but I mean, remember he won his 2020 championship because everybody else crashed.
yeah,
Sadly, you
no,
know,
yeah,
he was able to just finish every race where everybody else was failing. He didn't so much win it as everybody else lost it, if that makes sense. So
it does.
Mir's a good rider. It's just, if you're really not having fun and you're pushing hard and crashing, if you're crashing out of 19th place, it does stuff to your soul, if you know what
Oh
I
yeah,
mean. Yeah,
uh,
I think he's in a bad place. I suspect he'll still be back on the bike next year, and then we'll see what happens after that.
do you think it's destroying Luca too on the inside?
Maybe. When they went to Honda, I don't think they ever quite realized how bad it actually is.
Yeah,
And I suspect that bike is very difficult to ride. I mean, they've still got the Marquez development. And Marquez is that kind of rider. He works the bike very hard. And when they move towards his style and the way he wants it, you end up with a bike that is very difficult to ride, very demanding to ride. It's difficult. It's hard on your body to ride it, and if you don't get it right, you crash. And that's got to be very sort of demeaning to them. It's got to really take a psychological. It's got to have a psychological effect on the rider. When you're trying to get this thing to work, and every time you make the slightest stuff up, you're on the ground. You're riding so hard and getting so tired and getting so beaten up to finish 19th. Yeah, it's and everybody in MotoGP believes that they're the best rider in the world. You have to be. I mean, if you don't think that, you have you have no place in MotoGP. You have to think you're the best rider in the world. And these guys are sitting there thinking, I'm the best rider in the world, and I'm crashing out in 19th. It's
yeah,
I suppose you have to sit there and kind of wonder, what am I doing with my life?
yeah. Demoralizing for sure. It's
Yeah, demoralizing. There we go. Sorry, I'm sick.
no, dude,
I'm
you're
gonna
good. You're
use
good,
words,
mate.
Saturday nights, and the words, and sick and words, and take him out back and beat him.
Put him in the box, beat him. He'll learn his lesson. Hey, Dirk says, didn't well on my
Um,
phone it says, didn't Mir sign with 2 more years at Honda?
yes, but if you go to your team and you just say, I don't want to ride anymore. Well, it's another thing to say, I'm going to another team. Okay, then lawyers get involved. If you go to your team, you just go, look, I don't want to ride anymore. Are you going to really force me? See, that's a different story. Then the team kind of says, okay, just put a line through that. Bye bye. You know what I mean? The team also does not want a rider who doesn't want to be there.
Yeah.
They'd rather go find someone who'd rather be there. Anyway, they've got it. Sorry, there's a guy just commented now. His name's Justin Fernandez. You'll see there. He said, yeah, it's painful. Have a look at his profile pic. It's a picture of a lion. This dude has a predator park here in South Africa, and this dude walks into the enclosures with like 700-pound lions and tigers, and he strokes them and he feeds them and he gives them kisses and all that kind of stuff. They're about 700 times bigger than he is. They could use him as a toothpick. And yet, yeah. No, so guys, if anyone's watching this, go click on Justin's profile. Go follow that dude. He's something.
Absolutely amazing.
And he used to race with me, sort of early 2000s. We all used to race together. He actually quit racing just to go and look after lions and tigers. So,
I love it.
yeah.
I
Hello,
love
Justin.
it. Hello,
Have you been
Justin.
eaten yet? There he says. Also used to race bikes to you. That was good fun. He was a naughty little shit. That's what he was.
You didn't take him out back and put him in the box?
He would like that too much.
Oh, I love it. Craig says, how long till Zarco has a wobble fit like he did at KTM?
Zarco, I suspect, when he moved to Honda, I think he kind of knew what he was getting into. Remember, he did a brief spell when he parted early with KTM. He rode on Honda for a while, so I think he kind of knew. And remember, Zarco's sort of thinking. Zarco was sort of thinking more along the lines of, well, I'm in my sort of 30s. I'm clearly not going to win a world title. I'm probably never going to win another race. I'm going to take the paycheck and I'm just going to do my best. I don't think he has a wobble. Yeah, he went there. I think he went there having resigned to the fact that this is my fate, and he's getting a good paycheck. And he's, as far as Honda's concerned, he's a hero. I mean, within the team, I mean, he comes back and everybody gives him a pat on the back. He is a hero in his team. Whereas if he went to Ducati or KTM or any of those, he wouldn't be. He would just be another dude. You know what I mean? Earning less money. I mean, he might get some top tens, but he'll earn less money and he won't be a hero. At least where he is now, he's a hero. He's not really crashing that much. In fact, I think he's crashing less now than he did previously.
Yeah, I think you're
on the
right.
Ducati,
Yep.
which is weird. Yeah, so I think Zarco is I think he's sort of settling down for retirement. He'll go through this contract and then see what happens. Zarco in World Superbikes could be fun.
Yes.
Imagine him next to Bautista. Whew.
That would be
even next to Roscoe Ugly. I mean, he has shown since KTM. I mean, when he was at KTM, I think that was a low point for KTM. After that, they completely redid the bike. That was for 2020 when Binder joined.
Yep.
And remember, they came out with that beam frame instead of the trellis frame. Then it completely re-overhauled the bike. There, Danny Pedrosa was putting input at that stage. So yeah, I think Zarco, he's an old wise soul. He knows where he is. He knows what he's doing. He's getting the paycheck. He's now got a career. He's earning a living. You get that dude in the back of the office. You get all the hot shots up front trying to make the sale. You get that dude in the back, and he's sitting there sipping coffee, playing his phone for a little while, make a phone call, sip some more. That dude. Yeah, he's that dude right now.
He's good too. I mean, Zarco is he's super talented and fast, which brings me to Tanaka. What do you think Tanaka's going to happen to him?
Takaki Nakagami.
Tanaka.
Yeah. Remember, he is the sort of how do I phrase this? Sort of token Japanese guy. Honda have always had a Japanese guy on their bike. It's like law.
It is.
You got to have a Japanese bike guy.
It's written in their Bible.
Yeah, it's in the Honda policies. You know what I mean?
HRC pamphlet.
One of those scrolls with the Japanese lettering. In the ancient
scroll.
wisdom, you will have a Japanese rider on a MotoGP bike, and like 2,000 years ago, they would go, "What does this mean? I don't know." And then in like 1960, they went, "Oh, that's what it means." So yeah, they'll stick to that. There was talks that Ayaguru would take his spot, which, I mean, Ayaguru, he's good. I like Ayaguru. He's, on a Moto2, he's pretty good, but he's not supernatural. But then again, I mean, Nakagami is just he's a little bit of a seat filler right now, sadly. He's always been very faithful to Honda and good to Honda, and I think they're repaying him. But it would be kind of fun if we saw Ayaguru kind of mix it up a bit. Maybe put Taka Nakagami on the World Superbike.
I think
put him over the HRC team name. Mix that up a bit. That could be good fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Justin says, "No, I'm still typing here, so I'm still alive." Are you typing or is AI typing? Justin, prove that you're you. Prove that you're really you.
Prove that you're not in the box. Let us hear it. That's awesome. Oh my God. Yeah, man. It's Donovan. There's just so much going on and happening, and so many questions, and and I had this conversation with my buddy the other day, and he was saying sort of what you would touch based on. I was like, look, it's you have certain riders that are in Moto3 that are absolutely phenomenal Moto3 riders. When they go to Moto2, they just don't gel. Right? Same thing with Moto2 to MotoGP or vice versa. It's you just have those riders that suit that particular bike. And
do you remember a guy named Lorenzo Della Porta?
I was getting ready to say he's the guy I use as my example all the time. Lorenzo Della Porta.
Before that, there used to be a guy called remember Manuel Poggioli?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember he was then it was 125s and he was
Yeah.
just unstoppable. He was the next Rossi. And he went to 250s and he was still the next Rossi. And then just suddenly something happened. He just suddenly, you remember he used to race a red derby, which was
Hmm.
technically a Aprilia painted red.
Yep.
And again, even in 250s, he was like, wow, and this guy's going places. He's going to be the next, he's going to be, the next Rossi. And then just suddenly one day he got out of bed and I don't know what happened. I think he kind of got out of bed and said, what's the point? And then he just disappeared. The next thing you know, I mean, within a few races, he was suddenly a back marker. So remember, yeah, racing's finicky. It's strange. It's this weird thing. I mean, you're putting your life on the line, and you've got to be okay with that. You've got to want to put your life on the line. You've got to want to be on the edge. You've got to want to take those risks. So there is so much of this going on. It's just, it is such a. Sorry to use the word again. It's a mind fuck.
It
You know,
is.
it's so yeah, I mean, you're right. There are these guys. Moto 3 is relatively easy. You're kind of yeah, it's not, there you're not as kind of on the line. Moto 2 it's where it suddenly gets very technical. The bikes don't go around corners that quickly. They're faster in a straight line. They don't go around corners. You have to have your technique spot on. You know what I mean? Moto 3 is more kind of racecraft. You don't have to be the fastest rider. If you've got the racecraft and you can outsmart the other guys on the grid, you can still win. Whereas Moto 3, you need you need your riding, your technical riding ability to be spot on. It has to all be perfect. It has to all perfectly fit together. And for some riders, that just doesn't come together like it did in Moto 3. It's a different sort of thing. So yeah, you get those guys. Although I will say, if you can do well in Moto 3, there's a good chance you will do well in Moto 2, which is different. I mean, in the old days, it was 125s to 250s. Wasn't that big a deal. 250s to 500s was, a lot
Massive.
of guys couldn't do it. Incidentally, a shout out to Max Biaggi. I don't know if you remember. You remember he was 4 or 5 times 250 champion. I mean, unstoppable. And he was one of those sort of guys you kind of think. I mean, in those days, people used to make a career out of racing 125s and 250s. And they'd race 250s their whole life until they retired, never bothered going to. And then he moved to 500s. And if you remember, it was at Suzuka. He won his first race on a 500. He beat Mick Doohan.
Yep. On a
I mean,
Yamaha.
on a Yamaha. I mean,
Yeah.
wow. Wow. I mean, he didn't go on to be like greats, and Rossi kind of blindsided him a bit. But yeah, that was something. Just something noteworthy. Got to keep in mind. That was proper.
No, it was. And not only that, he went to World Superbike and won a title there too.
Yeah, he
So
had Gigi Dall'Igna.
yep.
Remember, he was working for Aprilia. He bought
Aprilia
that
at the time.
RS4. I
Yep.
don't know if this is true, but they went through something ridiculous. It was like they went through 38 engines a year on that bike. I mean,
Holy
they
shit.
tuned that. Remember how fast that thing was?
Yeah.
I mean, it used to hold down the straight, overtake everything. And yeah, and then Gigi Dall'Igna moved to Ducati. I believe one of the things Marc Marquez made Ducati promise is that Gigi Dall'Igna has a long-term commitment to Ducati. In other words, he's not going to stay with Ducati and go to the works team. He'll go to the factory team and stay and commit to Ducati if they promise Gigi Dall'Igna is going to be there. That's what I read somewhere, which makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense. That dude is a genius with his monobrow. Although he must take all the aerodynamics and all the ride heights off the bike, or we're going to beat him with a stick. Monobrow and all. I'll make that monobrow go like this.
Gigi, we're coming for you. We're going to put you in the box. You got to get rid of that stuff. Yeah.
We're going to need a lot of boxes.
Dude, a shit ton of boxes, but we can make it happen. Yeah.
We're going to arrive there. Laurie's going to arrive full of boxes, and we're going to look at everyone and go, you know what this means.
It would be like, why is everybody's name on their box? It'd be like, we got a box specially for every single one of you guys and girls. Yes. Awesome. It is, Justin. It's a big step up from each class. Donovan's right. From Moto 3, they don't have no electronics on it hardly at all. And you go to Moto 2, now they get a lot more electronics than they're used to, so they got to figure all that out too as well. And then they get to Moto GP, it's like, ah, damn, I'm flying a space shuttle right here. I don't even know what button to hit, what toggle switch to switch. I mean, it's just it's too much.
Yeah,
it's just too much. When you look at a MotoGP dash, you're like, what is this? Is this an F1 steering wheel right here? Like,
yeah.
This is
Oh, the bars
crazy.
are looking like an F1 steering wheel. You see how many switches and levers it got on those things? Damn
I
it.
know.
And
I know.
yeah, there's a million switches, and how do you know which one to push? You're doing 300 miles an hour, whatever it is they're doing now, 300 horsepower down the straight, trying to control this thing while pushing that switch and switching to that mode. This ride out device, that's a clutch lever, that's a back brake, that is the other brake lever. This is the ride out. This is the that. This controls that. This controls that. I mean, they really are. They're in the middle of a dogfight in like an F-22 dogfight while pushing all these switches and buttons and changing the heads-up display. And it's yeah,
It's
it is
crazy.
quite mental.
It is. It's so a good buddy of mine, Ashton Yates, he races out here in Moto America. And
Yeah,
he said that was one of the biggest things that he had to wrap his mind around too. He's like, man, they want me to change the mapping when I'm mid corner, 130 miles an hour. I'm supposed to look at my dash and remember push the button, hold it once for a second, let go, and push it twice, and then just like all this shit. And I was like, dude, that's crazy. Like,
yeah.
you want your rider to be solely focused on
Um,
warp
Do you
speed and
remember
doing it.
Jorge Lorenzo? I'm sure it was Jorge Lorenzo. It was at Argentina where he got to the line to start the race and he accidentally hit the pit limiter instead of the launch control.
Yeah,
And
I
the pit
remember.
limiter is 60. What's it? It's about 35 miles an hour.
Yeah,
Wow.
he's like, wait a minute, what happened?
No,
Uh,
yeah, but that's probably something I would do.
I would
Hit
do
the
that
rest
too
of the
for
bar.
sure.
It's like, okay, time for a ride. The long straight. Let's hit the ride out device. Bop, 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 bop.
Wait, what? Why am I not going? Yeah. And then, dude, so listen, we ain't touched on real quick, dude, the TT. Michael Dunlop, the greatest of all time, finally surpassed Joey, his uncle.
Hmm.
What do you think?
Never meet your heroes.
Never meet your heroes.
I met Michael Dunlop. He's not. He wasn't cool.
No.
Sorry, he just wasn't cool. He's one of those guys you love him from afar. Don't get close to that guy. And I was talking to another friend of mine last weekend. He also met him, and I spoke to some of my other journalist friends. You know, who are big in the racing and all that, and they all kind of say, "Yeah, yeah, he's not a personable sort of guy." You know what I mean? No, but look, I mean, the dude winning that amount of TTs. You know, for all the people who've never met him, I mean, wow, properly. I just kind of wish I didn't meet him. He wasn't. He really was not cool. It was a BMW event, and he was supposed to be there, you know, with all the journalists to kind of put a face on for BMW. And the dude was just sulking. He didn't want to talk to anybody. He didn't want to know anybody. He was pissed off. He had to be there. He was just. It's like, dude, at least pretend to be happy to see us, you know. Just one of those sort of guys. But
Yeah.
yeah, I can't take away from the fact that, as you say, I mean, he is the greatest TT rider to ever existed. You can't take that away from him. So, whatever his personality is like, purely as a TT rider, 10 out of 10, dude. I mean, proper.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and it just to be, it's the whole thing. The it staying in the family, it happening in our lifetime, right? Because nobody would ever thought it would ever happen. It don't matter who it was to surpass Joey. I mean, 26 TT wins. Anybody's ever watched a TT, it's to me, it's the most beautiful thing you ever seen in your life. I mean, it's just absolute fucking bonkers, right? Um,
Yeah. Here's a question for you: would you do the TT?
I would, yes, I would. I would do the TT for sure.
I
Would I be any good at it? Probably not. But dude, I love it and the passion for it so much. Yes, I would absolutely have to get. I'd have to try it. You only live once.
I would be with you there. I would ride the TT. I don't think I'd race it.
Yeah,
I
I would
would.
ride
I'd
it.
arrive on the grid. I'd be there on the line, but there's no way in hell I'm going balls to the wall around there. I'm gonna ride at least 60%. You know what I mean? I'm gonna have 40% margin of error. You know, I'm gonna go, oh, that wall looks a bit dangerous. I'm just gonna stay over here. Oh, there's a bit of a fence there. I'm gonna get away from that, you know. That's what I would do. So I'd definitely ride it. I can't say I would, you know. We had a South African there did pretty well, a guy named AJ Fenter.
Yep.
He was, I mean, he got up to 125 mile an hour on the one lap. And anything over 120 miles an hour is bonkers. I mean, those top
Yeah.
guys are doing into the 130s now, which is, I'll use the word again, that's supernatural. You know, that's that's just a different level of mental. But yeah, this mate of mine, he's got 125, which sheesh. I mean, again, for like I say in MotoGP, if you make it to ride a MotoGP bike, you're special. You're
Yeah.
world class, and to do more than 120 around the TT, you're world class. So well done to that guy.
Yeah,
No,
absolutely.
sorry, a
Well
bit
done.
of a mention. I know I mentioned Kenny Roberts was like be one of the greatest guys to go, because he went over and was able to win, in Europe. It was Steve Plater. He won the TT a few years ago, but the difference between him and everybody else is everybody else had a number of goes before they started, because it's a tricky. You got to learn that circuit, and it's impossible. You got to ride it a ton. I mean, the guys who live there, who know the roads off by heart, they win it. And he won it in I think his second or third try, which I mean that's special. That's
That's
I
yeah,
think there are some of the riders that have done more. I mean, I don't know the full background history of all the TT riders. I think Hickman was kind of similar. I
yeah,
don't know how many times Hickman has tried it, but I think he's also quite similar. But yeah, I mean, Steve Plater went there second or third time and he won it. So
yeah,
that's special. Carl Fogarty, remember how many he had the lap record for many years.
yeah,
He won the TT and broke the lap record, and then he went to World Superbikes with
yeah.
Ducati. And yeah, as I say, it took them a few years to catch that record. So yeah, also
Yeah,
special.
Fogarty battled it out with Steve Hislop, if I'm not mistaken, in
Yeah,
1992 at the TT, which was absolutely proper mega man. It was,
yeah. He was
and
on a,
then,
I think he was on a Honda RC30, if I'm not mistaken.
yep, yep, I'm pretty sure, yep, he was, and
Yeah,
Foggy was on the, yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, the TT is just a one of a kind. It really is, and you're right. I think Hickey started in 2014 at the
is it?
TT.
Okay.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I love the TT, but I'm not fanatic. I don't not like MotoGP where you kind of know where all the riders have been and
Yeah,
you kind of followed it. The TT is one of these where I sort of go, oh, okay, that's great. Um, No, but you know what? We had some. We've had a bunch of discussions, like in pubs and online, and all sorts of things with people. And the question often comes up: who's better, the TT riders or MotoGP riders? And my answer to that is very simple. It depends how you define better. Like in terms of rider skill, rider talent, MotoGP hands down. A TT rider, forgive me for saying this, they will not qualify for a MotoGP race. They won't even make the qualifying cutoff. They just won't. Whereas if a MotoGP rider, if they have the kind of if they have enough kind of motivation to do it, if they're given a good team and if they give a good team, a good bike, and enough time to learn the circuit, a MotoGP rider, I'm convinced will win the TT. The trick is you will not get a MotoGP rider ballsy enough to try it. None of those guys will line up on that start line and give it balls. They'll be like what we just said. We've got like 60%. Oh, that wall looks a bit dangerous. I'm going to stay. So it depends on how you mean better. I mean, if you mean pure talent and technical riding skill, MotoGP hands down. If you mean set of these, uh, yeah, the TT riders have more of that, definitely.
oh, 110%. They and you're right. I never thought of it like that. Would a TT rider make the grid on a MotoGP bike? No, but they're two different riders, and and
Mm,
and the way they approach racing is different, so to speak, because you approach the island different than you will a short circuit. At least, listen, if you go back in TT history and you listen to the riders talk, they're like, oh, we only was riding at 80, 90%. Now, we was just talking about this the other night on the podcast. I was like, bullshit. When they're racing the TT, they're flat out 100%. I
mm.
don't give a shit what they
No,
say. You're
yeah, it's
watching it. There's no fucking way they're not 100%.
yeah, but it takes the balls to do 100%,
It
as
does.
you said. Here's a little fun story. I mean, Joey Dunlop, who until recently was the greatest TT rider ever, he came and did a guest ride at Kyalami in South Africa, one of our national races. I think it was during the 80s sometime. And between you and me, he got his ass handed to him. Sorry, his ass handed to him by local, like South African riders, even people that are not that great. Um, but again, go to the TT or go to any one of those road races, and those same South Africans who are quick at Kyalami would shit themselves. They'd pee their pants and go crying for their mothers. Whereas Joey's balls to the wall. So as I say, it's a different. You kind of respect both, but for kind of like different sort of reasons.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
100%. It's hard to actually classify the two too because they're completely different. But yeah, you summed it up perfectly. Absolutely.
Yeah.
For sure. So Douglas, hello Douglas. He says, "Hi Donovan. Great idea to have your podcast. Just cack time the same time
I mean,
as the
shit.
URC final. Please
Remember
do
that
this more
rugby thing
often."
I was telling you about, like
Yes.
American football, people running
Yeah.
into each other? Douglas, why are you watching people run into each other? There's a team called the Blue Bulls. It's a South African. It's like a Chicago Bulls. I don't know who's a great American football team.
Uh Shit, I don't watch football.
I don't know, one of those. You know what I mean? But
One
one of
of
those,
them.
like
Yeah.
but it's a South African club team, if you know what I mean. So it's based sort of around the kind of Pretoria, north of Johannesburg, sort of north of South Africa, and they're playing against, I don't know, someone, a Scottish team, you know. So it's one of these, like you got like we're going to use the correct word, soccer. You got the soccer teams where you've got Manchester United playing Milan in Italy. You know, so it's kind of like one of those. But you got the Blue Bulls, I think, are our most popular team here in South Africa. I had one criticism though. For a while, there was a bit of a fab going among Blue Bulls supporters in South Africa, where they used to buy these little, to kind of show that you're a Blue Bulls supporter. They used to buy a set of fake testicles to hang off their tow hitch of their pickup trucks, but they were blue. So it's these giant plastic testicles that hang on the hitch, but they were blue, which means that Blue Bulls supporters had no idea what blue balls means and what they're actually trying to advertise. So that was a little bit of a fail. But yeah,
Uh,
but no, it's a big deal. I mean, here in South Africa, I mean, the Blue Bulls playing whoever they were, it's a huge deal. So yeah, anyway, I think the game's over, which is why we're getting a few people coming to watch the podcast now. You all suck. Rugby's just people running into each other. Come on.
yeah, I don't. He says, "Welcome to South Africa." Absolutely. That's awesome. I have no idea. I've never watched a rugby game in my life. Not even 2 minutes of a rugby game
Uh,
or cricket.
yeah, I mean, you got a World Cup cricket tournament happening in your country right now, and no one knows about it. There
Nope.
was actually this funny. Would it be funny for us? Outside a venue somewhere, they had some local American uh, cricket sort of training camp or whatever, or whatever it is, academy, set up these sort of fake cricket nets outside in a parking lot somewhere, and all these people working past, and they were inviting people to come. You know, we'll show you how to bowl like a cricket player and all of that. And a guy walked past who happens to be the South African kind of fast bowler. He's like one of the top. Now, bowling is like pitching in baseball, except you sort of run. It's a little bit different. But the guy who basically throws the ball to the guy with the bat, and he was the top side, one of the best bowlers in the whole world, came walking past, and this guy was like, "Hey man, you want to come learn how to play some cricket?" And he was like, "Okay, how do you play this?" It's clearly South African, and they're busy showing him how to do this. And there's someone busy filming with a cell phone, and he kept looking across like, it's a bit like having like a little scooter training thing in a parking lot, trying to encourage people. And then Mark Marquez walked past. He goes, "Hey man, want to learn to ride a scooter?" And he goes, "Okay, you want to show me?" "Yes."
Oh, that'd be absolutely proper mega. That'd be a good commercial. MotoGP, you need to make something like that happen. Yeah, that would be good. Yeah, that's awesome, man. And then I was laughing because Justin also said 30 people running after a watermelon.
Yeah, he's an ex-bike racer. You can't have raced motorcycles, and once you've raced. Now, okay, when I was in school, like junior school, I used to play tennis. I used to play rugby. I played cricket. I played soccer. I did all of that stuff. You know, you're one of the boys. You know, you're in there. And then my dad got me out on a 50cc, little two-stroke 50cc. He took me to the track with one of these, and I started going around the track like what like he used to do. And of course, I was big into bike racing, but I hadn't actually kind of done bike racing. I mean, I was 11 years old or something. And as I said, I did all those sports because that's what everyone was doing. You know, you're in school, everyone plays sports. And then he took me to the track once, and that was it. I'd go back to school the next day and everyone's got their soccer balls ready and they're busy oiling their wooden cricket bats and they're they've got their tennis rackets and I'd look at it and go, what's the point? It's not a cricket bat, it's a plank. Why are you oiling a plank? It's essentially a plank. People throw a rock at you, you hit it with a plank. That's what cricket is. Soccer, you're chasing after this stupid thing, you're running around a field. Why? What's the point? And once you've raced motorbikes, you go back to those sort of mundane sports, and you just, as I think Justin will. I mean, he'll watch the rugby and the cricket, but you kind of going, yeah.
This is not cool. Yeah, I'm with it. I'm the same way. That's why I don't watch sports. I don't watch sports here in America. I don't watch football, baseball, none of that. Every once in a while, I will watch a couple minutes of like Inter Miami with Messi on the team playing because Messi's one of the GOAT soccer players, right? So
Okay, soccer, yeah.
and so
Like
I
you,
do
you are
watch
quite a
that.
sort of a Europeanized American, dare I
Yeah.
say? I mean, you sort
Yeah, I
of,
like soccer. I do watch soccer. Like I said, when I get a chance to sit down, I'll catch the recap if I don't catch it live or whatever, and I'll
yeah.
watch it. Now I play it on the video games. I like playing soccer on my PS5. I got FIFA 2024 that I play.
Oh,
So
cool.
yeah, it's a lot of fun.
But
I like soccer.
we're sort of okay. We're getting kind of away from bike racing here, but I'll share something with you now. So I live. It's a place called Hartbeespoort. It's very fun, kind of very. It's sort of an hour outside of Johannesburg. It's for people who want the kind of convenience of the big city of Johannesburg, but don't actually want to live in Johannesburg. You know what I mean? So it's out in
Mhm.
sort of the countryside, but close enough to be convenient. So it's that kind of people. So it's a very kind of open minded, very fun, very friendly sort of place. And we've got our kind of local pub, literally 400 yards from where I live, which is also in the bush, and all the local people come here. It's kind of the local. And all the guy who owns it, this very friendly guy named Mickey, and he's got a bunch of friends. We're all kind of mates there. You kind of go there, and there's always people and they all play golf. Now I don't play golf; I'm not interested. But I bought my PS4 and left it because he's got this massive 100-inch TV that he put there specially to watch MotoGP. So we all go there every MotoGP Sunday. We watch on this 100-inch TV with big sound system, and he genuinely put it up in a sort of not in the main pub, in a room to the side that's soundproofed, so we can close up everything, crank the volume, and watch MotoGP in peace, which it's great. But anyway, we plug in our PS4, and he bought Tiger Woods PGA Golf, and we got all these guys sit there. We play against each other. We got all these rules, of course, now. So you if you hit it in the bunker, if you hit it in the woods, if you hit it in the water, or you hit it in the crowd and kill someone, you buy everybody a shot. And
Dude, I
this
need to
happens
come and play.
every
That's awesome.
And this happens every Thursday night. We've got a group on WhatsApp, and we're all psyching each other up, and we're all kind of, you know, winding each other up. But and then every now and again, you just have a really bad round. Well, everybody has like a bad game, and everybody's hitting in the water. And every time they do that, you get a shot of Jägermeister put in front of you. At one stage, I was sitting there so blotted out of my mind, going, we're on about the 12th hole of 18th, and I'm sitting there. I've got 4 Jägermeisters sitting in front of me. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to drink these without actually physically dying. By the time we got to the last hole, I was sitting there with a remote, and everybody was so out of it. They had no idea what was going on. So, whose turn is it? Anybody want to play? It's a lot of fun. That's how you play golf. That's how you play golf. Never mind all this walking rubbish and flipping with a bag and stuff, all that. You go into a PlayStation and you drink a lot. It's basically fishing, isn't it?
It is absolutely. I love it because I got Tiger Woods golf on my PlayStation too as
There
well.
we go.
Yeah, awesome. That's a
You need
good
to get a
idea.
bunch of mates together, and every single time anyone hits it in the drink or the bunker or anything, they've got to buy a round of shots for everyone. Got to
Yes,
do it.
I will make it happen. 110%. That's awesome, man. Good stuff. That's dude. That's what I love about our conversations. We just go wherever, right? It's
Yeah,
and have a good time with it.
as long as you're having fun, eh?
That's it. As long as you're having fun. Just as sounds like my game. Yeah, absolutely. And he says Mulligan's Pub.
Yeah, he's been to Mulligan's before. He lives about 2.5 hours from where we are now. He's also got a great pub, by the way. His family is Portuguese. You must see the food they make. Oh, it's delicious. Espetada basically brings a big plate full of meat but some of the most delicious tender meat. But it's a whole plate full of meat. Then you sit there and eat a plate full of very delicious tender meat. It's glorious. Justin, I'm coming to visit you. I'm leaving now. I have a ride on tomorrow. I don't care. I'm canceling it right now. And I'm coming to you to eat a big plate full of meat at your place. Stay open.
I'm gonna get me a plane ticket. I already got my passport, and I'm on my way.
Done. Let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah, Chris and I are coming to you, Justin.
That's
We're going to eat a
absolutely.
big plate full of meat.
Yep. And I'm gonna take pictures of the cats. I'm not gonna go in there, but I'm gonna take pictures of the cats.
Well, we can send Justin in there. You know, maybe you'll be the lucky one who finally videos him getting eaten. Imagine the YouTube hits. Seriously, I'm sorry, we're so digressing. I know everyone came on here to listen to bike racing, but honestly, there was one time Justin was in one of the enclosures. Now he gets all these people that come and watch, and he feeds all the cats. You walk around and he feeds all of them. He's got a bucket full of chicken, like raw chicken, and he feeds these cats. And you know, while he's there, he's talking to the crowd. You know, he's putting on a show. He's telling them about he had this big, huge, probably around 400-pound Bengal tiger, male tiger, and he's busy feeding this chicken, and he's explaining what the spots here mean and the stripes mean and how they sort of in the wild. And you know, it's really, really interesting. And the tiger finished the chicken, you know, out of the bucket, but Justin's still busy explaining stuff to the crowd. So the tiger takes his head, sticks it in the bucket, starts licking the bucket. Then Justin finishes his speech, and now he needs to move the show along to the next enclosure. So he pulls the bucket away. This tiger, now it is 1 foot from Justin. It's in front of him. This 400-pound tiger is 1 foot away from him. This thing went full, ears back, hair raised, on shoulders up, and growled at him. But I mean, teeth this long, growled at him. And when you hear a tiger growl, the whole world shakes. Your inner soul, your monkey inside of you, shits itself. The entire crowd of maybe 50 to 100 people simultaneously jumped 10 meters backwards. Old grannies, people in wheelchairs, everybody jumped 10 meters backwards. We were like, this is it. This dude is dead. This dude is dead. This thing was teeth out, snarling, and the snarl of a tiger hits you in your soul. He was definitely dead. Justin, to his credit, didn't even flinch. He looked at it. He said, "Don't be naughty," and he bopped it on the nose. And the tiger went, and it went round to behind a bush, and it hid, like hung its head in shame. You know, it was incredible. It was utterly incredible. We really thought this dude is dead. It was just like, this is it. We're about to see a man being mauled by a tiger. And honestly, he didn't even flinch. He just went, "Don't be naughty," bop.
Dude, that's insane. I would have shit myself 100%.
I'm telling you, 50 people shat themselves that day. They did. Justin wasn't one of them. Man, it's something else. Anyway, but bike racing is cool too.
Oh my god, yeah, that's I watch videos of people with the handling tigers and animals like that, and it's I'm in awe because I'm an animal lover, right? And I'm like, oh, that's so cute, but I wouldn't do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, Justin, I mean, he quit bike racing to look after these cats. He's full time. He doesn't go on holiday. He doesn't do anything. He stays there full time looking after these animals. So, yeah, honestly, go look at some of his photos. Go look at some of his videos. They're mental. And we're going to fly to South Africa. We're going to visit Justin. We're going to look at lions and tigers and eat a plate of meat.
A big plate of meat, right? And hopefully you won't get eaten, Justin.
No. Well, if you do, wait for me to record it first.
Oh, we'll put the tiger in a box. We promise. Bad tiger. Until you learn your lesson.
He actually we did a thing where I took a Triumph Tiger. It's the Tiger Adventure bike. I took a Triumph Tiger to visit him too, because I thought, well, Triumph want to name their bike a Tiger. Let's see, how does it live up? So I got the Triumph Tiger to meet a real tiger. And he actually took it into the enclosure, and this tiger was walking around this bike, sniffing it and all. It was brilliant. It was utterly brilliant.
Dude, you have to send me the pictures of that. I'd love to see that. That's awesome.
Yeah, they're up there. They're up there.
Yeah, I will. I'm gonna go check it out. That's good stuff, man. Listen, man, we're coming on 2 hours on this. This has been an absolute.
I was gonna say, I've got a big ride tomorrow. I should actually get going, mate.
Yeah,
but man, this has been fun.
It's been absolute blast. Listen, guys, thank you guys so much that tuned in. If you missed it, as soon as this is over, you can go back and rewatch it. It'll be out on everywhere but Apple. I'm not on Apple yet, so it's everywhere tomorrow that you listen to your podcast but Apple. But Donovan, listen, mate, enjoy your ride tomorrow. This has been an
Thank you.
absolute honor. It's always an honor to sit down and have you on. Thank you guys so much that watched this. This has been an absolute hoot. Join in for the next one because me and Donovan, we're gonna sit down and continue to do this again. So I'll text you sometime tomorrow, the next day, Donovan. We'll set up the next one, and yeah, I
Sounds good, mate.
appreciate it.
Oh man, I look forward to it. Let's
Yeah,
do it.
me
It's gonna
too.
be good fun.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
All right, I appreciate it, man. Thank you guys so much for watching. We had an absolute ball, and I hope you guys did too. And thank you again, Donovan. Absolute honor,
Cool,
mate.
man. Thank you so much for having me, mate.
Yes, absolutely. All right.